Welcome to Design for Connection, the channel where we talk about the truth of science, psychology, and faith to help you flourish in the relationships that matter most to you. Today, I want to talk about a cycle that I often see with couples that I work with, and it really stems from these places of protection that I've been talking about with the shame cycle, versus a place that we can rely on of wisdom and love and grace for ourselves and for other people. So the place of protection can often show up as this painful way of interacting in relationship. It's painful, honestly, for you, and it's painful for the people that you're interacting with. It's kind of coming from this defense mechanism of I have to control the situation in order to be satisfied. So people become players in in your world, rather than a relationship to be involved in and connected with, and letting them have their own experience or feelings that's different from yours. So rather than trying to connect and get to know them, you might become very controlling, um, and have a lack of empathy towards them. It can come across as very narcissistic in the way that you interact in relationship, very self-centered. It can, which we all are, by the way. We have to train our brains to consider others first before ourselves. That doesn't come naturally. So this way of controlling situations can also come across as very intimidating, manipulative at times. And so the antidote to this is really twofold. It's so simple, but it just doesn't come naturally because probably the way that you grew up, you learned that in order to survive, you had to control the situation, or at least you thought you could. And so the antidote to this is twofold, and it's getting vulnerable with yourself so that you can get vulnerable with other people. So, what do I feel and what do I need? Now, that doesn't mean that you always get what you need, but it means that you're coming to a relationship, whether it's with a loved one, who's a spouse, whether it's with your children, whether it's with friends or coworkers, really getting the answer to those two questions in any given moment. What do I feel and what do I need? And being able to offer that with the expectation that the other person, you might have to ask, what is it that you need? What is it that you're feeling around this? With the expectation that the other person would also show up with those two things. And that's the place where you start to navigate how do we resolve this conflict or this issue between us, keeping in mind and considering one another's feelings and experiences and needs. So simple, but so hard to do. So, the flip side of this, what I often see is someone who believes that in order to be in relationship, in order to feel safe, I have to keep my needs or even my emotions to myself. I have to hide them somehow. I have to mask them somehow. So, in order to keep the peace. And so, this oftentimes happens. These two sort of strategies that people use, someone who's really trying to control situations and someone who's trying to keep the peace, often get together. And so the one who is trying to keep the peace, you often see this. Sometimes, it turns into addiction, it turns into workaholism, it turns into busyness, or even an affair. um, so for that person, the antidote is slowing down enough to answer those two questions for yourself. What is it that I'm feeling? What is it that I need? And learning to go to your loved one and be able to share that and ask that of them. And this more vulnerable place enables us to connect in a more direct way. And then we can, yeah, have more of the relationship that we're longing for. Um, thank you.